What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Miss Panda, and I'm coming at you today with another little quick video. I want to do a reaction video on a topic that Marcus from Atlanta Street Interviews dropped on his platform about a lady by the name of Tracy Lawrence, whose 11-year-old son had a tragic asthma attack while he was in school because the teacher neglected to allow him to get his asthma pump. Okay? But before we get started on today's video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever my channel drops any new content. So on today's video, Tracy Lawrence reached out to Marcus from Atlanta Street Interviews to share her son's story. So basically, her son had a tragic incident that happened to him while he was at the tender age of 11 years old while he was in class. While he was sitting in class, he asked his teacher could he go and get his asthma pump. She denied him. So her son sat in class trying to breathe and gasp for air as best he could. During this time, with him having difficulty breathing, he lost oxygen which caused him to go into cardiac arrest. That led him to being in a coma. I want to play a clip so you can hear the mother give a detailed explanation of what happened to her son in her words. I want to say shout out to Marcus from Atlanta Street Interviews for breaking this very, very compelling story. Thank you for just breaking this story and bringing awareness, because the world needs to hear about this because it's not being discussed on bigger platforms like it should be.
You got in touch with me and you wanted to tell me about what was going on down in Florida with your son, who is disabled and basically won a settlement. And so he was in a facility where they manage his disabilities and they help him to manage the funds properly and everything else. And it turns out that the person that was managing the funds stole the funds. And so that's on this news report right here.
Founder of a St. Pete company that manages finances for people with special needs is accused of taking $100 million from the business. As a result, the Center for Special Needs Trust Administration recently filed for bankruptcy and began trying to figure out how to repay more than 1,000 clients. Fox 13's Aaron Mesmer is live in our newsroom tonight. So, Aaron, how did this unfold?
Allie, the bankruptcy filing accuses the center's founder of taking the money and then covering it up for more than a decade. Now the company's current leadership is wondering where those funds went.
Inside this unassuming office building in St. Pete, workers are doing an important job. 2,000 people rely on them to manage their funds, often from an injury settlement. In each case, the injuries left them physically or mentally disabled, bringing them here to the Center for Special Needs Trust Administration for help.
We try to help them in any way that we can to ensure their life is as comfortable as we can help them make it.
But the center is now filing for bankruptcy. In court documents, the center accuses its founder, Leo Gavoni, of issuing himself loans totaling $100 million that he never paid back. The bankruptcy filing details an internal investigation that uncovered the missing funds between 2009 and 2020, but no record that any loan was ever approved.
I think the missing funds came out of the blue.
As a result, the center says the accounts of at least half of its clients, more than 1,000 people, have been partially or entirely drained. Beth Latham, a spokesperson for the center, says leadership was stunned.
They are heartbroken over this and working nearly round the clock no stone unturned to figure out how we can get as much of those funds back where they belong.
According to the filing, Gavoni transferred the money to one of his other companies, Boston Finance Group. He's accused of keeping the loan secret by contracting out control of the center's finances, accounting, and IT work to businesses he also controlled. Latham hopes the bankruptcy filing helps answer a lot of questions.
You can begin more extensive investigations, if you will, into where the money is.
In a statement to Fox 13, Gavoni said, quote, "I dispute the allegations and characterizations in the filings of the center as to the mishandling of any of the center's funds. I look forward to resolving this issue through the bankruptcy process or otherwise." Meanwhile, the center says it's focused on its vulnerable, disabled clients and finding a way to make this right for them.
We will be looking not just at bankruptcy, but any and all legal remedies.
Center tells us its employees have also been locked out of accessing their financial records. Meanwhile, we're told the company has demanded Gavoni repay the funds, but has not received a response so far. Allie, we're going to keep following this.
We know you will, Aaron. Thank you.
All right. So tell me what happened from your perspective.
Okay, so from my perspective, like you said, my son won a lawsuit. So I trusted what I was being advised and, on how to handle the lawsuit money so he can keep his other benefits coming. So we was told about the center that's in St. Petersburg. Okay, so all of his funding went there. And it was supposed to be whenever he needs something, we reach out to them and they would pay for it, out of his trust fund. That money was put in place. So
I think this is a sad situation and I'm angry about it. The reason why I'm angry is because, for one, I'm passionate about children's well-being. Secondly, this incident that took place was preventable. Now, listen to me carefully. My next sentence is based on my personal opinion about this situation. Some of you may or may not agree with my opinion, and that's okay with me. We don't have to agree on everything on my channel. But getting back to the subject, I feel that the teacher was at fault in a way, because if she would have allowed him to get his asthma pump, this could have been avoided potentially. Even if he would have had an asthma attack, I don't think he would have had to, I don't think he would have had a coma. I don't think he would have had, a heart attack. I don't think all of those things would have happened. But because of her negligence, it set off a change of life-changing events. Now this young man's life has drastically changed, which requires him to have around-the-clock care, because he can't do much on his own because of his motor skills were damaged due to the lack of oxygen to his brain, which is shameful. He has to be fed and bathed, and he has to be assisted with just about everything. Now, I'm a mother, and I would have wanted to see that teacher, okay? She would have had some splaining to do. Okay, me and her, listen, I'm not a violent person, but when it come down to my kids, I don't play that. Okay. Now, as parents, let's use this situation as a teaching moment. We have to be vigilant and assertive when it comes to your children's medical needs. I'm well aware that some schools require students to hand over their medication prescribed by a doctor over to the school nurse, so that the nurse, at certain times during the day, the student has to go to the nurse, and the nurse will administer the medication or whatever. But in a situation such as this one, there should have been an exception made, because asthma is a very delicate medical issue. And he should have been allowed to keep his asthma pump on him at all times while he's in school. I don't have asthma myself, but I do know people that do have asthma, and you never know what can trigger an asthma attack. It could be something as simple as, somebody wearing perfume. It could be something as simple as somebody spraying like a body spray or air freshener. And I've actually seen people, certain chemicals that's in the air fresheners can trigger an asthma attack. It could be dust. It could be cat hair. It's different things. Everybody has a different trigger. That's why, you have to have your pump on you or whatever. That's why I think he should have had his pump on him, in case of an emergency. But let's talk about the fact that the teacher never reached out to his family at all. Like, not to offer, not to say I'm sorry, just nothing. I guess she was advised by the school district not to make contact with the family. I can understand that. However, even if she couldn't reach out to them in person or through text or a phone call, I feel that at the very least she could have sent a card and some flowers just, to say I'm sorry, or at least to see how he was doing, or something, you know. Not that it would have changed what had happened, but it would have showed some sort of human decency and remorse on her part. That teacher realized that she made a fatal mistake, and now she has to deal with God. You know, even if the school district feels that she wasn't at fault, she got to answer to the Lord for that. Okay. Now, let's get into the fact that not only did the family have to deal with the devastation of their family members' unfortunate near-death experience, not only did they have to deal with a near-death experience, now they have to deal with the fact that a company that they trusted to hold their son's money until he needed it misappropriated his trust fund money while that he was awarded. I feel like that is sickening and it's unfair, because how is he supposed to pay for his personal expenses? Leo Gavoni is the man that's responsible for the misappropriation of this family and other families' funds, and he should be responsible for paying each and every family every dime that was stolen from them. I also feel like the lawyer could have been involved in some type of way, because he insisted that she put her son's money in this financial institution. The whole story with the trust sounds fishy to me. If she can't recover the money from this particular organization, the trust organization, then I feel like the school should be responsible to a certain extent too, because their staff member, which is the teacher, is the reason why this situation took place in the first place. So I feel like they should be responsible in a way. And I want to say shout out to Marcus from Atlanta Street Interviews for breaking this very, very compelling story. The world needs to hear this story because there are victims that are being done wrong. Okay?
Saturday, telling me that the owner, well, basically they're saying they filing bankruptcy. His funds had been depleted some, that they were filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy. What they were going to try to do was give him back some of his money, but not all of it, because there was 1,000 beneficiaries that was affected by this, not just my son.
I feel like he should be able to recoup all of his money. Okay? All of it. Not just some, all. Because they're responsible for that. And I don't feel like it's fair for him to be able to steal people's money, spend it how he wanted to spend it, invest it, not pay them back their money, and then be able to hide under the blanket of bankruptcy. The thing about it that makes me mad is the fact that some people that are rich, they can get away with so much. But if you go to the store and steal something off the shelf, it could be a pack of Pampers and you could be in desperate need because you don't have any money, they'll hold you to a harsher standard than they would somebody who has a bigger company and has money and different things like that. And I don't think that that's fair, because this child had an accident where he won't probably ever be able to work. So you could deplete his money and not be responsible for paying it back. How is that fair? That's not fair to him or to other families. That he shouldn't be allowed to get away with that.
So the owner stole over $100 million of their money and is not accounted for. He's denying all allegations. One family is missing like $250,000. I mean, it's sad. It's sad.
$250,000? That's a shame. Did y'all hear that? Yeah, he need his behind beat for that. Like, he shouldn't be allowed to get away with that. I hope that they lock him up or something. I hope they lock him underneath the jail. Underneath the jail. You hear me? Because he dead wrong for that. Stealing from people that's disabled, that's wrong. That's not right.
He stole everybody's money.
Right. He opened up, I think they said like 50 other businesses that he opened up. And I guess he took out loans, and when it was time to repay the loan, he didn't have the money.
Wow.
So they sent me a letter about the copy of the bankruptcy filings and stuff, but it's sad. And like the spokesperson for the center is saying,
I don't feel like he should be allowed to be able to file for bankruptcy. I don't feel like he should be allowed to. I feel like he should figure out a way to pay back each and every individual all of their money that he stole from them. That's what I feel like.
they're going to try to get back some of the money, not all of it. I mean, when I looked at my son's balance on that form, my heart dropped because that's money put in place for him to take care of him when I'm long gone. Huh?
What was the balance and what was it before that?
The balance was he had like maybe like $50,000, $50,000+ in there. Plus he had annuity payments going in each month on top of that. So the balance on the paper that I received was $9,000.
Oh my God. Like, how did you go from $50,000 to $9,000? Like, what is he supposed to do with $9,000? I'm sure he probably has an aide, because the mother, she's his primary caregiver, but I'm sure she works. And if she can't work, obviously she can't work full time because she has a child with special needs at home. But I'm sure she probably has to work because she still has to provide because that's money that he has to live off of to pay for his expenses. But I'm sure she still got rent and, her own bills to pay. And plus, sometimes, not being funny, sometimes as a caregiver to a child with special needs, even though we love our children, sometimes, parents could get fatigued and we need a break sometime, So, I'm quite sure they had an aide or somebody to come in and assist with his day-to-day care because she can't do it all on her own because it's overwhelming. That's not fair what that man did, and he shouldn't be allowed to get away with that. That's dirty. That is so dirty.
So he took over 80% of the money?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so they're saying we might get back some, they're going to get back as much as they can. And we supposed to be okay with that. I'm not okay with that because he's hiding behind that bankruptcy.
Tell you what, man.
That bankruptcy is protecting him. But me, my son, and other families, we supposed to be okay with that. I'm not okay with that. You stole these kids' money. That's not right. And I just refuse to believe the courts is going to allow that Chapter 11, that bankruptcy filing, protect him.
They write all these little backdoor codes into the law so that people can backdoor their way out of stuff, man. And that's just a part of this country, man.
This is really, really sad that he's able to commit a crime like that and just have all of these little loopholes and different things like that they could just slip out of stuff. They'll hold us to a different standard, but that's not fair. Drop that in the comment section and tell me how y'all would feel if you received a letter stating that your child's money got depleted by some bum that's supposed to be sitting up there holding on to your money in trust. That's not fair. Like, ooh, they better be lucky. Like, if you could just do what you want to do without getting in trouble, I'll tell you.
The power of the pen, they say the pen is mightier than the sword. And this is an example of that. So real quick, I do want to kind of ask and find out, how did he become disabled? How did he get to this point to where he had a settlement lawsuit and everything else?
Okay, so at the age 11, he had an asthma attack. Asked his teacher, could he go get his inhaler? She told him no. So basically, he had to sit in class struggling, trying to breathe and learn, until he could find a teacher that would let him use the phone. So during that time, he was losing oxygen to his brain. So when he finally, later on, a couple of hours later, he was able to go home, get his inhaler and stuff, but he went into cardiac arrest. So he was in a coma for like 3 weeks. And during that time, the doctors had to pinpoint, we had to just kind of ask students, teachers, because my son couldn't tell us nothing. He was in a coma. So from that, the doctors said, okay, well, during this time, when he first asked the teacher, could I get my inhaler? He would have been, they said they couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't have had to come to the hospital, but they guaranteed he wouldn't have went into cardiac arrest and suffered the type of brain injury he suffered. He suffered a monoxic brain injury, and it controls his motor skills. So he can't. It's called myoclonic movement. So here you have this. You might see him sitting in his wheelchair, or sitting in the car or something. You think he's okay until you hear him start talking or see him doing a movement. So it's like basically it's like taking care of a newborn baby again. We have to feed them. We have to bathe them. We have to help him with everything. Everything.
Man, what do you feel about, or how do you feel?
This is so unfair, and this is heartbreaking, and this story is just very, very, very compelling. That's why I wanted to do my commentary on, this story. I thank Marcus for sitting up there bringing this to the forefront, because people need to know, we as parents, we have to be a little bit more vigilant when it comes down to our children and their, when they go to school, because it's like we feel like when we send our kids to school, we expect them to come back the way that we sent them. Okay, the world needs to hear this story, because there are victims that are being done wrong in this situation. It's really, really crazy. Me personally, if I had an asthmatic child, I would try to follow the school's rules, because I'm not saying you should go against that. Give the school nurse an asthma pump, but I would still make sure that he has an asthma pump. My child, my kids, that they keep on their person, that they keep on them at all times, just in case they start feeling like they're out of breath or whatever, just in case they go to gym, and just different things like that, that would have been, prevented or whatever, but I guess, she didn't know, she didn't think that, a situation like that, nobody would suspect something like that would happen. But we could just use this as a teaching moment, because it did happen, and it has the potential to happen again. So in a situation like that, moving forward, we know what we need to do in that case. Drop down in the comment section and tell me what your thoughts are on today's video. This video is so sad. It really, really is. That will be all for today. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. And thank you for listening. I love you all, and be blessed. I think this is so sad.